Komm Junge, mach ihn, Phil Hungeregger in Unterzahl und Tor für die Schwenninger Wild Wings. Phil Hungeregger zum 2:0, die Arena explodiert. Und jetzt Auszeit der Wild Wings. Steve Walker bittet sein Team nochmals an die Bande. Unfassbar heute wieder diese Unterstützung von den Rängen. Das Spiel ist aus. Was für eine Teamleistung der Wild Wings. Schwenningen liebt, Schwenningen lebt, Schwenningen ist Eishockey. Offenes Visier. Erlebt euren Lieblingsclub hautnah und echt wie nie. Der offizielle Wild Wings Podcast, ganz ohne Maske und Visier. Offenes Visier. Herzlich willkommen zu Episode Nummer 14. Ja, wir blicken zurück auf die Saison 24/25. Aus meiner Sicht, aus eurer vielleicht auch, ein paar Wochen früher, als es uns lieb gewesen wäre. Aber so ist der Sport. Wir haben viel, viel Tolles erlebt mit den Wild Wings, auch in dieser Saison. Deshalb warten wir mal ab, was unsere Gesprächsgäste in dieser Folge so als Resümee ziehen werden. Wir haben Steve Walker und Tim Kehler in Teil 1 und Teil 2. Da seid ihr wieder mit von der Partie. Wir mischen uns unter euch und zwar bei der Saisonabschlussfeier und fangen eure Stimmen ein, eure Gedanken zur abgelaufenen Saison mit euren Jungs vom Neckar. Und dann glaube ich, dass auch Episode 14 wieder richtig unterhaltsam werden wird. Good to have you. Nice to meet you once again in a different setting. Hello, Tim. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Christian.
The last couple of days in the office here in Schwenningen for you guys, then the season is over. What are your plans now for the upcoming days, and what's next after you leave the Wild Wings family for summer?
Well, I think reflecting on, the areas that we did good, reflecting on the areas we need to improve, transferring that into our player meetings, making decisions on what the roster or what our needs and wants are, and if we have that or if we can improve. Then kind of, reflecting on who's in the market, who could do the job that we'd like to improve on. And, that's kind of the conversations prior to meeting with the players. You take a couple days to reflect for the most part. Obviously, being banged up and injured, it's tough to go out when you feel like you might get healthy, but yeah, I think the first few days you're just disappointed that, you're waking up with really no purpose, which is always tough. So there's a mental transition that you have. And then now you kind of get into the mode where you want to get back at it and start to build your team for next year. And, to the areas that we've identified, we got to get better at. Try to address it as best we can, and then go from there.
What about you, Tim?
Well, just to build on what Walks talked about, I mean, the finality of when the season ends, it's always shocking because, that we're real creatures of habit in this business, and having a routine daily and having the work to get done and preparation, it ends so quickly and suddenly. It takes a couple of days to kind of get over that shock of a new routine and building in just a new daily schedule. So we've had some productive meetings as a staff. We'll meet with all of the players tomorrow for the most part, and really set the path forward for next season. And then when that's done, though, I when it is all of the shock and the stuff that we've talked about is over, I'm excited to get back home. We'll travel back to Vancouver next week and look forward to getting into the summer routine, which is also a routine, but quite enjoyable in terms of family, friends, and the golf course.
Sounds good. You'll have a couple of meetings with the golf course too, the time you stay here together.
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday for a few holes. We'll try to do that again. It's a good place to get out in the sunshine, obviously. The hockey talk kind of never stops, to be honest. It's just a different environment. And, there's usually phone calls from agents or, that, all of a sudden in the middle of a round, you're discussing a player that you never thought was available, or, would he work? Would he not work? So I think the golf course for us here has been a real good outlet to get out of the office with no windows and, enjoy some outdoor time and fresh air and still continue to kind of improve the team or improve us as a staff. And we'll continue probably to do that until we fly back home.
How do you overcome that shock Tim mentioned? Like the season is over from 110% to nothing in a split second. Like I had a really, really tough time over the last weekend. It felt even harder for me like last year, because for me it was like we had so much more to give still this season, and it was a tough weekend for my family too, because I wasn't able to talk to a lot of people. Some of my family members would like to try to discuss how everything went and what's going on. Is it just to focus on like what you can make better next year, or do you need a couple of days off completely, or is it impossible for you just to say like we have to start on a new page, because it wouldn't be right? Because there were a lot of good things still during that season. I've looked it up. We have had like 160 goals in a regular season. It's 5th rank all over the league. So there were pretty good aspects of the game. So is it just coming back to a routine, looking ahead? What's the approach dealing with these emotions?
Well, I think in sport, there's really only one winner. And I think most people gauge it if you didn't win the championship, it's a failure.
Mhm.
It's hard to, coming from clubs that have always had success, coming to Schwenningen, it's a different, where last year to make the top 6 was many, many years. It was a great accomplishment, but we didn't advance past the first round into the semis. So it was a failure in our minds, but also a big step in the organization. So this year, hoping to build on that, it's never easy. So I think from coaching side and playing side, it's really difficult to win. And at the end of the year, there's only one champion. And no matter how good your season was or bad your season was, it's who wins the last game of the year. And so I think as we get older, we realize that the chances of winning in this league, when you take the Berlins and the Mannheims and the Munichs out of it, there hasn't been a lot of success for other clubs. So doesn't mean it can't happen or won't happen. Could be this year, could be next year. But I think for us, you reflect on what we consider to be building blocks for our organization or our club, and not to be happy with where we are. For us as coaches, we're pushing always to get better. And sometimes that's additions by subtractions. Sometimes it's, trusting a group and seeing if they can make the next step. For us, I think there was a lot of positives. There was a lot of negatives in the sense, the start of the season, every game was so difficult and we just didn't score. Then we got through the 2/3 of the season where we were playing top 4 caliber teams. And then we struggled going into the playoffs, and our season was cut short probably because of the losing the home ice. And so all these things, and for whatever reason, we can point out a few reasons where we feel where we've lost points or what, but we have to identify how to get better. And I think that's the main thing, because we know Wolfsburg, the team that's been in the top 5 for the last forever, wasn't even able to make the playoffs. So obviously they've made a big step with a lot of changes in their personnel. So they feel that their core guys need to be replaced. And, so everybody's analyzing that. But I think for us, you look at the good things, you look at the bad things, you talk about it. And sometimes decisions that you want to do or don't want to do get decisions that you don't have a say in, whether it be a player that takes a contract somewhere else, whether it be a player that we want to keep that decides no, wants to move on. So these are the conversations, and I think it's ongoing till probably September next year.
Mhm.
So that's a long-winded answer. So I'll let Tim put his 2 cents in.
Is there anything left? Well, I think, we started the conversation with the 160 goals for on the season. It was a we felt it was important that our club improve the skill level from our first season to our second. I think that might be evidence that we were able to improve our skill level. And there's a lot of metrics that show a lot of growth in our team. But the thing about sport is it's, there's a scoreboard that shows a winner and a loser at the end of every game. That's ultimately how everybody is assessed and evaluated, players and coaches. And we didn't do as much winning as I think we expected for ourselves and with the raised expectations of the group this season. But within that, there was improvement. There were areas where we were very good on a consistent basis. But I think with all of that information, there's certainly some things that have become evident where our team needs to improve to continue the growth that we've seen over the last 2 years. And I think, in any business profession and certainly in sport, when you stop looking for ways to get better, people go past you. And that's whether you're at the top of the mountain looking to stay there or still making the ascent. It's a business, and that's what drives us and motivates us and makes it so much fun, is the challenge of finding ways to get better. And we'll continue to look to do that. I think that the players realize that when you take a step as a group and you raise expectations, things get harder, not easier. Teams don't take you for granted. You see the best of the opposition on a more consistent basis, and there's pressure that comes with raised expectations. And I think those are some of the elements we dealt with this year and didn't pass every test in that regard. So these are ways that we're going to look to improve upon the season.
We asked the fans last couple of days on social media what are the most memorable moments during the season for them, and a lot of guys just mentioned the third game in the first round series against Nuremberg, where we scored the equalizer late in the game, and the whole corridor where our fans were, they went crazy. They just they describe it like so many emotions never felt during the season, and they really believe that we make the next step. But what I'm interested in, like, this game was it was crazy in a certain way. How do you try to focus on your job? Because it's even hard for me to do social media when it's going like that, when you're so much in the game with all the emotions. How you handle it on the bench to stay focused? Is it just like routine for you because it's what you're made for? How do you handle that type of games where it's like do or die?
Well, I think emotion is the key word, because I think for us as coaches, when we're playing great and we have the lead, we're reminding things what we need to do to keep the lead. When we're chasing or we're trailing 2-0, the areas we want to get pucks to the net, bodies to the net, get those ugly goals kind of thing. And then you have some success and it quickly changes to, okay, we're in the game now. We go back where we're not, pushing, or we're just taking risks that we wouldn't. So I think honestly, it's just because this is what we do all the time. It's pretty easy for us to manage the emotions. Obviously, we're pretty happy when we scored the second goal, because I felt very good, and the arena got quiet, and our fans that did come to Nuremberg, both games were incredible. I think they were louder than the whole rink, to be honest, in the Nuremberg, and that's just a credit to our diehard fans that support us all the time. But I think for us, the emotion part as coaches, you're facing elimination and it didn't look good, and then all of a sudden it looks good again. Now we're 1 goal, 1 shot, and to get scored on quick was, again, pretty hard. But that's sport, and the ups and downs and managing the emotions is what we do and have to do, so that the referees and all the stuff that can be distractions, that I'm as guilty as anybody of changing my tone or changing my emotions towards stuff. You have to remind guys all the time that we live in the moment, and we can only control what we can do the next shift. And whether it's win that shift or lose that shift, that's what we can control. So emotions are great. That's what drives us. What brings the passion. And, we had an emotional group for sure. And there was a lot of guys that were beat up pretty bad, just like the fan base was, because we still felt like there was a lot of hockey left in us, and we would hopefully have some guys coming back to the lineup, which is tough for them to watch it and not be a part of it. And But yeah, emotions are the name of the game, and sometimes it's just the more times you put yourself in a situation, it's easier to deal with. Obviously, being older, dude, a lot of these kind of games that it's easier. Whereas for Daniel Neumann or Philip Feist, it's 2 years in a row probably.
Yeah.
He's got 2 games of experience of where it's a do or die game, and so they're always learning. And for them, it's different than it would be for us. But for coaching side, it's just trying to be as even keel as you can, and it's not easy, but it's easier with time.
Hats off to that. Tim?
Well, I thought it almost seemed like it was going to be this poetic ending when we scored 2 goals late after being down. I don't think I've been with a team in the course of my coaching career that has had as many comebacks and late comebacks as this group this year. I mean, I think of the 3 goals down late at home against Munich, 2 goals in Berlin that we score with the goalie pulled and then win in overtime. And it's a real credit to our group that there was always a fight and a sort of a stick with itness that really, I think, has come to represent what the Wild Wings are. We're a competitive group. We're feisty that way, and always in a game. So when we tied it at that point, I certainly didn't see the ending that the way it happened, and that's just sport, as Steve alluded, and it can turn so quick, and the group on the other side wants to win too, and it certainly means every bit as much to them as it does to our group and our fan base. And I saw it in my head. I saw it playing out differently after we tied the game for sure.
Yeah.
But and again, I thought it would have been poetic based on the number of times that we did that this season, which is just incredible. You need some good fortune, but I think it really does speak to the character of our group that we came back as many times as we did.
Sure. Any memorable moment for you guys when you look back on the season? You probably feel it was something special.
Yeah, it's hard to say, like, if there was one moment. I think Tim talked about the comeback, the resilience of the group, and the no give up. It's probably that representation of what this team was. Nothing was easy. Everything we had to work for. It felt like we were a lot of games we were behind a lot more than maybe the year before. We're chasing the games. Yeah, I think that's about it, really. Like, I think, that we never gave up. And, we got rewarded a lot with the work. And that's why the games are 60 minutes. There's many games that 55 minutes didn't look too good for us. And especially in that game where the bounces or the tip, obviously going off Platzer, and then a wrist shot that goes off Trivia's skate that goes just to the perfect spot where a guy gets it. It sure didn't feel like we were getting the bounces, in the Spinks when it was 1-0 on the 2-on-1. We get a great tip and it hits the post and it falls. Those are the ones that go in when it's meant to be, it seems like, and it didn't feel like it. But with all of that controversy, that the team still gave it to the last 3 minutes, and we're right there where we get that goal to tie it. So for me, probably that's the key moment, like Tim talked about. Like, I think we had 9 goals with the goalie out, or like, it's crazy. And we just had the last 5 minutes, we had to be the best in the league for sure. Just based on that, because sometimes the first 55 wasn't as good, but I think teams got pretty scared when they saw the goalie come out, and it didn't matter if it was 1, 2, 3 sometimes. But hopefully next year we don't have to worry about that as much. Be that team that protects that lead better. But yeah. Do you have anything?
Well, those comebacks that we talked about would have been the highlights on ice. But what was cool and what continues to be so great about this town and this fan base is, game 2 of the series, but game 1 here against Nuremberg, and a building that's always energetic and loud, and how there's just another level in postseason hockey, and the volume and the pitch and the excitement in the rink when we score or a big play happens. Never ceases to amaze me it makes the hair stand up on my arms. I can only imagine what it does for the players and the boost it gives them.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fun environment, and we only had 1 game this year, unfortunately, to experience it, but it's memorable.
So, we started a bit with what's next for you. How do you try to now? If you travel back home, you are on the golf course pretty much all day long now, or what's the new Tim Kehler daily business for the time you return to Schwenningen?
Well, as I've said, I mean, I really like to have routine and a plan. So there's more to it than just golf. But I mean, a perfect day is there's not much more to it, but a perfect day is the gym in the morning,
Yeah.
and then to the golf course in the early afternoon, and and family and friends and Sandy and all of that stuff, so that they're not getting left out. But that's just kind of the routine that I like to have. And
But
yes.
like you're from the Vancouver area, is there already like the course is ready to go when you arrive now, or do you
Well,
have
I
like
call
to
them
wait?
and let them know when I'm coming back,
Okay,
so that
okay.
they get it all tuned up for me.
Perfect. And for you, Steve?
Yeah, for me, it's a little different. I play a lot more golf here than I do back home. Obviously, with family, I have Noah, my oldest boy, is getting married this year, so there's going to be a lot of focus on that, a lot of preparation on that. So yeah, it's basically just family time, and then Seth, my youngest, is full-time travel in baseball, so we'll be going to the U.S. and all that stuff. So there's not a lot of free weekends or a lot of double headers, and yeah, so I'm a chauffeur and a fan, definitely cheering.
So no coach in baseball?
No, I
No.
don't coach at all.
Yeah.
I like to watch it. It's a different game that I'm not perfect at by any means, but it's nice to cheer for your kid and not have to worry about
100%.
analyzing everything. Because when you go home and you start watching the NHL, the playoffs, which is, I mean, it's really great hockey. I find it's a little bit spoiled as a coach because you're analyzing all the mistakes and kind of you can't just enjoy the team that you're cheering for. So yeah, it's honestly just constantly talking, improving our hockey team. There's usually a couple of calls a week to Stefan, and we'll touch base and kind of keep building on the team, and we have to make some decisions. And as teams go out in the DL, more players become available or more players get signed. So it's just kind of understanding. Obviously, this year they're probably going to be a promotional team. So that's going to put a dynamic in the DL here. So that'll change as far as what players are going or staying. So yeah, it's everything other than the daily routine that I do here. It's a little bit more family because that's definitely the focus now in the summer.
Steve mentioned the NHL, so we have a lot of hockey enthusiastic listeners. Is there any prediction from your side what's going to happen overseas this year? Probably a couple of German players in the hunt once again. So how do you feel about the scenario in the NHL? Who's probably your favorite to make it to the cup?
Well, I think until somebody knocks off the champs, I think that Florida's probably still the team to beat for me. And they made some improvements through the trade deadline that I think really makes an already great team even that much better. But the wonderful thing about sport, and I think the NHL playoffs in particular, is that from that first round, everybody's got a chip and a chair and a chance to win. And so I think for me, they'd be the odds-on favorite. But it's such a grind to get there and to win 4 series and to stay healthy. You not only need to have the team, but you need to have some good luck and good fortune along the way to stay healthy, to get a few bounces that maybe eluded us in Nuremberg. But they'd be the team that I would put a very small amount of money on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, the first round is my favorite round because everybody is excited, like Tim talked about, and everybody's for the most part healthy, and it becomes a grind. And usually, the best hockey is the first round. This year, because the NHL does the seeds different, there's really good matchups. Like I think Tampa is playing Toronto right now. Like very good hockey teams that wouldn't probably play if they were to seed them different. So I think sometimes real type NHL finals are in the first round. And, last year, Dallas and Vegas and, just teams that are cup favorites again this year met in the first round. So, it'd be Ingolstadt and Berlin playing somehow in the first round, kind of that way this year. So it's really difficult. I don't watch a lot of games through the year. Just kind of follow like what Colorado's did in their team, added quietly some really good players. I think Vegas is healthy this year, good hockey team. So I think from the West or the East, there's going to be really good final. Hard to pick it. I'm going to go out on a limb and pick Colorado this year.
Good. So we've done that too. Like there's a big golf tournament in 3 weeks time, I think, the US Masters. I know like I want to put something in it, like probably we can do like a shuffle or like a lottery in our group, and the winner takes pizza quattro stazione in the summer.
Oh,
A good
that's
deal.
high stakes.
High stakes.
I'm in.
Are you in?
I'm in.
I don't usually order that, but I guess if the chances
Or
of me
pizza of
winning
your
are
choice.
probably
You get another
yeah.
pizza.
Another one. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. You get all the Germans and we get all the Canadians. Is that how it works?
Oh, the
Or-
Germans
oh.
are hard for me this year. But like I
Yeah.
know, like if there's the golf season starting, you just are in it. Like I'm too. US Masters is a must watch for me as well. So yeah, I'll bring my three favorites in. Probably you too.
Perfect.
And then we'll see how it goes. Do you have a favorite there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that that's a tournament that suits guys that have played it a few times
Mhm.
before, playing well, and are good putters. So, yeah, there's a couple of guys that come to mind for me. Unfortunately, maybe none of the Canadians in the field at this particular point, but
None of them qualified right now.
oh no,
Oh,
there'll be
they
some in
are.
the field. It's just
Yeah.
the putting statistic is
Oh.
has been a source of concern.
It's crazy how you're in the details and the numbers there as well. I've never
Wow.
watched like the stats there, but I should do it before. So
Well, he's
Should
talking about Corey Connors because he finished third,
6th this week, third
yeah,
the week
third,
before.
yeah, and like he hits pretty much every fairway and green, and then you watch him 3-putt from 12 feet, and it's so frustrating because the potential is there, and like I mean, if you can't putt or that's your weakest part, it's hard.
Yeah.
Most frustrating to watch, but you know, obviously, my biggest issue with Canadians a lot of times is they don't take on the risk to try to win. You know, they're happy to be in the second or third spot.
Yeah.
And I think the Tiger Woods kind of set the bar where it's win or failure. And I think probably a little bit of hockey that we kind of think that
Yeah.
because there's lots of great players that make a great living or millionaires that never win for 5 years, 10 years. So I think we need to get a little bit more of trying to win in that sport for the Canadian golfers.
So we do like a little hockey and golf advertisement in here. Like I feel like golf is a great sport for you to build your character because you have to deal with a lot of stuff. We both more than Tim, or I a lot more than you both. So is it like was it helpful? Just I feel like it was a lot helpful for me, like doing that sport, like growing in different ways because it's so hard to play and you have to fully focus on what you're doing in the moment. If there's something you can take away from golf, you bring into your daily life or on the band with the guys.
Well, I guess for me, the only thing that is golf, like golf is it's an honor sport.
Mhm.
And I think like we always make jokes with people that are sandbaggers or people that are, don't count all their strokes because they kind of trick themselves or they give themselves a better lie than maybe they're supposed to. And I think that's the one thing it kind of is, you're always competing against yourself. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you put your name on a scorecard, if you had to do that in a tournament, it's kind of like your honor. Like I attest that this is the truth. So I think to translate that into hockey, you kind of want to always tell the truth, even when it's maybe not perceived the best, but it's easy to tell because then you don't have to ever change what you've said or what you feel. This is what I see to a player, I think you need to be better because of this and that. Sometimes they don't want to hear that, but if you're truthful, and I think that kind of comes to the integrity of golf, that just the facts are the facts, and that way you never have to worry about being untrue or talking about. I give myself a mulligan on that hole, or you know what I mean, as an example. And
But integrity is a good word for it.
integrity it is, because I
Yeah.
made a beautiful 7 yesterday.
Yeah.
Hit it in the water, plugged in the bunker. Anyways, it was just awful. And other than that, for 14 holes, I was good. But that one hole, and I said to Tim, like, you can only put a 6 on your scorecard, and but I really got a 7. Because in golf it takes the stroke away, and it's kind of not really fair, right? I don't think, because anyways. So long story short,
it's good.
Yeah,
like I'm used to it. Like I'll miss the press conference with you, translating your short, really short answers.
I know.
I miss it a lot.
Yeah,
so
for
we
sure.
have to call a couple of times, so I'm staying used to it, used to the English language and all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Golf, you're a pretty good player. You have a great skill set, and still dealing with the same problem probably everyone does, because everyone wants to improve. How hard you try to improve there, and is it comparable how hard you try to improve a team as a coach?
Well, I'm not sure if it's comparable because it's very much an individual sport. And the thing that is so wonderful about our sport, hockey, is that the team dynamic makes it the greatest game in the world. The flip side of that is it's nice to have something where when it goes well, when it goes poorly, it's hard to look around and blame anybody else.
Weather.
You can, sure,
Wind.
you can blame the weather.
Wind.
Well, it's fair enough. You can blame a few things. But what's interesting about golf, I think, which might be relatable, is that on a given day, you don't necessarily have to have your best in a particular area of the game. Maybe off the tee you're struggling, maybe you're putting struggling, but there's ways to be successful. There's ways to kind of grind it out and make pars or do whatever to stay in a round. And when you're meeting people or playing with people, it's such a great forum for really evaluating the salt of a person beyond the integrity, which is the biggest part, as Walks talked about. You can really find out a lot about a person by the way, and it's got nothing to do with their skill set, but how do they manage their own expectations in the game? How do they keep it fun? How do they bear down and dig in when they're not at their best? I think it really tells a pretty big story about the individual. So that's the part that I love about the game.
Thank you, Stuart. You were up to any expectation we've had before that little episode of our podcast. In part 2, we'll bring in our fans at the season closing party. Just want to hear some insights from them, how they reflect on the season, and then I feel like our episode number 14 is a great one again. Thanks for your time. We'll meet each other few times the next couple of days, but in this surrounding, we'll have you back for the season 25-26 in the summer. So enjoy yourself, and as much as I did over the last couple of months, always a pleasure being around you, learning, listening, translating. So thanks very much for your time and for this season and your hard work.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Christian.
See you then. Ja, Dominik Liebing, ich habe ihn mir einfach frecherweise geschnappt. Heute schon wieder einen langen Arbeitstag auf dem Eis. Die Jungs gebührend verabschiedet. Aber ich habe in deiner Stimme schon auch gemerkt, bei Darryl Boyle, da wurde es auch bei dir ein bisschen wackelig, oder?
Wackelig ist gar kein Ausdruck. Da habe ich echt Tränen zurückhalten müssen. Der Darryl hat ja oben auch die ein oder andere feuchte Träne im Auge verdrückt. Nein, es war ein Wahnsinnsvideo und ist einfach gerechtfertigt. Der Mann ist fürs deutsche Eishockey eine Legende mit dem, was er erreicht hat, egal ob in unserem Trikot oder in den anderen Vereinen. Also von dem her, ja, diesen Moment darf man auch so zelebrieren und man darf auch als Mann da durchaus mal eine Träne verdrücken.
Durchaus, absolut. Jetzt hast du wieder 27 Heimspiele hier, die Fans und uns durch das Programm führen dürfen, die Emotionen so miterleben. Du bist ja immer brutal nah dran. Es war schon wieder eine Saison, wo viel los war und wir durften in die Extrazeit gehen, haben Playoff-Eishockey gesehen. Wie ist so ein bisschen deine Gefühlslage heute? Wir haben den 21. März, spielen leider kein Eishockey mehr, haben wir, glaube ich, trotzdem das ein oder andere gesehen, das sehr positiv war.
Kurz und knapp stolz. Ich habe mit Stefan auf dem Eis unten gesprochen. In 120 Jahren Eishockey, glaube ich, ist es nicht oft gewesen, wo wir zweimal in Folge Playoffs gespielt haben. Platz 6 letztes Jahr, beziehungsweise Platz 5, der es ja am Ende war sensationell, war überragend und der Stefan hat es richtig formuliert. Jetzt sind die großen Teams wieder ein bisschen vor uns gewesen. Wir sind aber mitgegangen und ich muss letztendlich sagen, wir waren nicht Augsburg, wir waren nicht Iserlohn. Mit denen hat man wirklich mitgelitten, weil wir kennen die Situation aus den letzten Jahren selbst genug. Von dem her, nein, lasst es uns genießen, auch wenn es ein bisschen schade ist, ausgeschieden zu sein, aber das sind die Playoffs. Da kann es halt nun mal leider so gehen.
Du hast deine Frau und deine Zwillinge mit dabei. Ist jetzt wieder ein bisschen mehr Familienzeit und die Eishockey-Zeit mal für ein paar Monate bei dir hinten angestellt?
Aber hallo, Familie jetzt wieder first. Ich bin immer sehr froh und sehr dankbar, dass meine Frau und auch meine Kinder das möglich machen. Der Kurze ist ja schon im entsprechenden Trikot unterwegs.
Mega,
die Tochter hat eigentlich auch ihrs, aber es ist noch zu groß und die Dame achtet auf ihr Outfit. Von dem her, das gehört einfach dazu. Und ich freue mich sehr, dass Sie heute mit dabei sind, dass wir die Gelegenheit haben. Und von dem her, nein, Familie jetzt wieder definitiv an den Wochenenden. Familie, Garten, Haus und letztendlich geht es ja im August schon wieder weiter.
Und ich meine, der grüne Parker mit dem leichten Kunstfell ist natürlich auch mindestens ebenso modisch wie das Wild Wings Trikot.
Aber hallo, da können wir zwei mit den Damen nicht mithalten. Das ist einfach so, Christian.
Das lassen wir lieber, Dominik. Vielen Dank für deine Zeit, war cool. Wir machen vielleicht mal noch eine extra Ausgabe mit dir, aber heute in unserer Overtime für Episode 14, direkt von der Saisonabschlussfeier, war mal ein guter Einstieg. Vielen Dank.
Sehr gerne und bis zum nächsten Mal.
So, wir sind auf der Abschlussveranstaltung, Abschlussfeier, hat Stadionsprecher Dominik Liebing richtig gesagt, Platz 9 ist ein Grund zur Feiern. Und wir haben natürlich auch hier wieder viele Hörer von Offenes Visier. Und wir wurden direkt angesprochen, obwohl wir auf der Suche waren. Wer bist du, wie heißt du, warum hörst du Offenes Visier?
Ich bin der Yannick, ich höre das Offene Visier ursprünglich aus Versehen, bin ich aus Versehen mal reingekommen. Fand es dann ziemlich cool, dass man diesen direkten Kontakt zu den Spielern da quasi hat, dass man auch mal ein paar Inside-Infos bekommt. Zum Beispiel, wenn die Jungs zusammen nach Stuttgart zum Fußball fahren oder so, kriegt man ja sonst nicht. Und ich finde es cool gemacht, gerade mit der Overtime. Die Annika macht es sehr sympathisch, auch wenn du es, Christian, auch sehr sympathisch machst. Aber ist auch immer ein kleines Highlight.
Klingt hervorragend. Und jetzt heute so ein bisschen ja wieder das Ende der Saison, die Spieler verabschieden. Was hat dich hierher gezogen zur Abschlussfeier und wie fällt so ein bisschen dein Rückblick aus? Was hast du erlebt dieses Jahr mit den Wild Wings? Wie fühlt es sich so an für dich?
Momentan tut es schon noch ein bisschen weh, wenn man jetzt auch gerade Nürnberg-Spiele sieht gegen Ingolstadt und man sich denkt, da könnte mir stehen. Stefan Wagner hat es vorher gesagt, die Mannschaft hat alles gegeben. Man hat es auch gesehen, es war gut, wie sie gefeitet haben und alles. Hat jetzt leider nicht gereicht. Man ist vielleicht ein bisschen verwöhnt von der letzten Saison. Wenn man es über die Vereinsgeschichte betrachtet, war es auch wieder eine sehr gute Saison. Man sollte zufrieden sein, dass man sehr früh nichts mehr mit dem Abstieg zu tun hatte, finde ich. Und im Großen und Ganzen war es auch wieder eine Saison mit Höhe und Tiefe auf jeden Fall. Aber mir ist immer wichtig, dass die Mannschaft kämpft. Das habe ich dieses Jahr gesehen. Und zur Frage bezüglich des Highlights war wohl meine Auswärtsfahrt nach Bremerhaven dieses Jahr zwar anstrengend, aber auch was, wo ich gehe jetzt seit 10 Jahren zum Eishockey, aber das wird auf jeden Fall jetzt schon eins der Highlights sein.
Mensch, Janik, und genau deshalb ist Offenes Visier ja auch so geil, wie du sagst, die Overtime. Heute bist du Teil der Overtime und deine Analyse, das ist ja, da habe ich fast Gänsehaut, muss ich sagen, weil es einfach beeindruckend ist, wie nah ihr auch an den Jungs so dran sind und wie sehr ihr mitfiebern. Und ich glaube, das ist auch was die Jungs spüren und was vielleicht hilft, dass der ein oder andere auch seinen Vertrag hier noch verlängert. Hast du da so ein bisschen, wenn du wünschst dir was spielen dürftest, wen du gerne aus dem aktuellen Kader nächstes Jahr wiedersehen würdest?
Ich glaube, es wird die Standardantwort sein von allen Spielern. Sicher mit dem Karatschun noch nicht ganz sicher, wie, wo, was. Das würde ich mir persönlich sehr wünschen, aber halt, also weil er einfach ein sympathischer Typ ist, aber auch sportlich, ist er einfach eine Maschine und natürlich Uwe. Ich finde einen Spieler, der so lange bei einem Verein wie in Köln war und jetzt hier dann in ein fremdes Umfeld kommt und sich trotzdem dann relativ zügig so mit dem Verein identifiziert, ist maximal sympathisch, zusätzlich zu seiner sportlichen Leistung. Über ihn würde ich mich auch wahnsinnig freuen.
Janik, das war Weltklasse. Du hast die Messlatte für alle weiteren, die ich hier noch so abfange, sehr hoch gesetzt. Vielen Dank, dass du dabei warst. Und natürlich darfst du gerne im privaten Umfeld auch Werbung für Offenes Visier machen.
Das mache ich sehr gerne. Macht weiter so. Ich finde, ihr macht es richtig cool. Danke euch.
Danke dir. Janik, wir machen hier die Overtime. Der Overtime in den Playoffs geht es ja manchmal auch ein bisschen länger. Du hast noch eine coole Geschichte gehabt, die hast du mir gerade off-Record erzählt, aber ich glaube, die können wir auf alle Fälle noch mitnehmen. Hau raus.
Absolutes Highlight nach der Fahrt nach Bremerhaven. Dieses Jahr war tatsächlich auch der letzte Spieltag, gerade auch, weil es an alle Ecken spannend war. Es war interessant, ob München oder dieser andere Verein aus der Nähe von Ludwigshafen das Heimrecht bekommt. Es war interessant mit unseren Freunden aus Augsburg und Düsseldorf, um natürlich für uns auch, ob wir es dann noch direkt in die Pre-Playoffs-Ränge schaffen. Apropos Schaffe, ich hatte eigentlich Nachtdienst, habe dann nur durch eine große Gefallen von einer Kollegin das Spiel wirklich auch, oder die Spiele auch wirklich in der Konferenz schauen können. Ich hätte eigentlich eine Verlegung nach Stuttgart fahren müssen, wäre auf jeden Fall für die Dauer der kompletten Spiele weg gewesen. Dass sie mir das dann ermöglicht hat, die dann doch noch zu sehen, das war tatsächlich ergänzend zu meinem Highlight aus Bremerhaven schon noch eines von meiner persönlichen Highlights aus dieser Saison.
Gut, dass du die Geschichte noch erzählt hast.
Hoffentlich.
So, und ich habe heute einen Glücksgriff gemacht, vom einen Janik zum anderen. Janik, du bist ein bisschen jünger, wie alt bist du denn?
10 Jahre alt.
Geil. Und du spielst bei den Wild Wings Future?
Ja.
Überragend. Du bist auch immer im Stadion. Ich sehe dich, wenn die Jungs da aus dem Tunnel rauslaufen. Klatschst du oft mit denen ab?
Ja.
Mit wem machst du am liebsten eine Low Five?
Kai Platzer.
Dein Lieblingsspieler?
Ja.
Mega. Und heute ist Saisonabschlussfeier. Was hast du nochmal gemacht? Warst du nochmal unten im Tunnel oder was hast du dir sonst so angeschaut hier?
Ich war noch mal unten im Tunnel, bin noch mal im Stadion rumgelaufen, musste auch weinen, als die Verabschiedung kam.
Von Daryl Boyle? Oder die anderen auch? Alle?
Alle.
Hast du geweint?
Ja.
Ah.
Ja.
Geht's jetzt wieder?
Ja.
Aber war emotional, oder?
Ja.
Also sag du weiter und wie ging es dann weiter?
Dann habe ich noch ein bisschen, wo habe ich eigentlich noch gedacht, dass die Verlängerungen kommen.
Ja?
Vom Platze habe ich gehofft, aber kam leider nicht. Da lasse ich mich jetzt überraschen.
Da lässt er dich überraschen.
Sonst in der Saison fand ich eigentlich ganz okay. In Ingolstadt, das letzte Spiel.
Da warst du auch, da haben wir uns doch gesehen, oder?
Ja.
Auf der Tribüne.
Ja.
Ja, geil.
Da fand ich es halt sehr gut, das Eishockeyspiel. Und 4-0 in Ingolstadt, das ist halt nicht so oft. Und dann das erste Playoff-Spiel in Nürnberg war ich auch. Da habe ich aber noch gute Laune gehabt, weil ich da voll im Eishockey-Flow war. Einen Tag danach musste ich wieder um 2 aufstehen. Wir sind ja um 1 Uhr heimgegangen oder heimgekommen, weil mein Hund abgehauen ist. Aber
Hab dann wieder gefunden?
ja.
Gott sei Dank.
Und die Playoffs waren eigentlich gut, halt die Schiedsrichterleistung nicht. Ja, jetzt lasse ich mich überraschen, welche Spieler kommen.
Jannik, du hast es ganz wunderbar gemacht. Schön alles erzählt. Das war toll. Vielen Dank, dass du bei Offenes Visier mit dabei warst und ich wünsche dir noch einen schönen Abend hier und bis nächste Saison, oder?
Ja, auf jeden Fall.
Annika, wir haben 14 Folgen jetzt abgedreht. Wir beide von Offenes Visier. Wir haben einfach mal angefangen letztes Jahr zu Saisonbeginn. Wie fällt dein Zwischenfazit aus?
Fällt gut aus. Es hat auf jeden Fall sehr viel Spaß gemacht. Viele unterschiedliche Persönlichkeiten hier gehabt. Viele Spieler noch näher kennengelernt. Viel über sie erfahren, was nicht mit Eishockey zu tun hatte. Also mir hat es auf jeden Fall viel Spaß gemacht und kann so weitergehen.
So weitergehen ist doch ein perfektes Stichwort. Wie machen wir weiter im Sommer? Ich glaube, wir wollen noch ein bisschen gucken, dass wir, wenn jetzt nicht ganz so viele Spieler vor Ort sind, auch Leute hinter dem Team vielleicht mal oder hinter den Wild Wings insgesamt ans Mikrofon bekommen. Wir haben schon mal über Kevin Richter nachgedacht, unseren Skills-Coach, der ein bisschen zu kurz gekommen ist jetzt während der Saison. Ansonsten gibt es ja ganz viele Leute, die auch um das Schwenninger Eishockey herumschwirren. Ich glaube, uns gehen die Themen über den Sommer nicht aus, oder?
Ich glaube auch nicht.
Das heißt, niemand von euch, von unseren, und das muss man ja wirklich sagen, auch bei der Saisonabschlussfeier haben mich einige wieder angesprochen. Wann kommt die nächste Folge? Es macht richtig Spaß, euch zuzuhören und so weiter. Also euch muss nicht bange sein. Die Wild Wings haben Sommerpause. Wir von Offenes Visier machen natürlich keine Sommerpause. Wir machen weiter. Und Themen wie immer auch, Aufforderung an euch oder eine Bitte, wie auch immer ihr es nennen wollt. Ihr dürft uns gerne, wenn ihr sagt, hey, das hat uns schon immer brandheiß interessiert, macht doch da vielleicht mal eine Folge von. Dann sind wir natürlich jederzeit bereit, das auch umzusetzen, weil Offenes Visier lebt ja nicht nur in der Overtime, sondern insgesamt von unseren Hörerinnen und Hörern, oder? Ja. Ich habe zu viele geschlossene Fragen gestellt, Annika. Das war mein Fehler an der Stelle. Tut's mir leid. Was ist so ein bisschen nach der Saison? Wir haben jetzt ja viele Analysen auch gehört von den Trainern, von unseren Fans bei der Saisonabschlussfeier. Wie hast du die Saison so erlebt? Das war ja auch deine erste als Vollzeitangestellte bei den Wild Wings, nicht mehr als Studentin.
Das stimmt.
Mhm.
Ich würde sagen, sie war geprägt von vielen Höhen und Tiefen. Und am Ende erinnert man sich natürlich immer sehr gerne an die Höhen zurück. Es gab viele unvergessliche Momente und vieles, worauf die Mannschaft, glaube ich, aufbauen kann. Von dem her, ja, mir hat es gefallen. Ich freue mich auf die kommende Saison. Und ja, wie fällt dein Fazit dann aus?
Ja, meins fällt wahrscheinlich ähnlich aus. Ich habe es ja vorher schon gesagt während der Folge bei Steve und Tim, dass ich lange gebraucht habe. Also wirklich 2, 3 Tage durfte mich gar niemand ansprechen, um dieses Erlebnis da in Nürnberg zu verdauen, weil ich wirklich das Gefühl hatte, dass wir dieses Jahr noch nicht am Ende sind und dann war das Ende eben schneller da. Ja, und ein Highlight war tatsächlich bei diesem 3. Spiel in Nürnberg, als Jordan Murray da den Ausgleich macht. Da stand ich gerade zwischen den Spielerbänken und vor mir stand so eine Mülltonne. Da bin ich richtig eskaliert. Ich glaube,
Kannst du mir vorstellen.
ja, viele können sich es wahrscheinlich vorstellen oder auch nicht. Also ich habe da schier den Deckel der Mülltonne zusammengetrommelt. Und dann war es natürlich umso bitterer, dass nur wenige Minuten später dann dieses Spiel die falsche Abfahrt oder Ausfahrt genommen hat und unsere Saison dann eben zu Ende war. Aber ja, es war schön, auch wieder mit den Jungs unterwegs zu sein. Und natürlich auch schön, dass wir davon über unseren Podcast ein bisschen was nach draußen tragen konnten, weil genau darum geht es ja, Annika, den Menschen, die uns hören oder den Wild Wings auch folgen, eben so ein bisschen auch Blick hinter die Kulissen oder Einblicke zu geben. Und ja, schön, dass uns das ganz gut gelungen ist. Zumindest haben wir positives Feedback und ich glaube, das macht auch richtig viel Lust eben auf die neue Saison, dass wir das wieder tun dürfen in vielen verschiedenen Formaten, ja nicht nur hier, sondern auch über Social Media und so weiter, da einfach ja, so die bestmöglichen Insights, die wir geben können, einfach an unsere Fangemeinde und unsere Freunde und wie auch immer man unsere Hörerinnen und Hörer noch bezeichnen mag, einfach raustragen dürfen. Und das macht schon, ja, da kann man es gar nicht abwarten, dass der Sommer eigentlich so schnell wie möglich vorbei ist. Wobei auf der anderen Seite ein bisschen Erholung tut uns jetzt, glaube ich, auch
mal
gut. Das war's für diese Folge. Wir kommen wieder, Annika, oder?
Wir kommen wieder.
Wenn Eishockey irgendwo mehr ist als nur das nackte Ergebnis, dann hier in Schwenningen. Hier ist Eishockey Kulturgut.